We are very excited about episode 63 as we welcome Dane with Wedge Golf to the podcast. They are a creative agency built for golf. They have over 1,300 followers on Instagram and their user handle is at Wedge Golf. Dane, thank you so much for taking the time and hopping on the podcast.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me. I'm excited to chat all things golf with y'all.
Absolutely. We were talking right before we hopped on. We were talking about the Jazz, Timberwolves, so we'll definitely talk about that as well.
It's like a fresh wound.
Yeah, it's a fresh wound, exactly. For us, not for you. But yeah, let's dive right in. What is Wedge Golf and where are you guys located as well?
Yeah, I can give you guys kind of the whole spiel as to who we are and how we dove into this. There's nothing I like more than talking about myself. So that's why we love doing these podcasts. So Wedge Golf, essentially how we, kind of give the elevator pitches. We are a marketing and a creative agency built specifically for the golf space and built specifically for golf companies, golf brands, golf, influencers, talent, players, coaches, whatever it might be. That's kind of where we are involved. That's where we kind of, have cut our bread. And what we're focused on is being able to help create content around those. The little cliche line we always say is that we try and create the right content and then get it in front of the right people. And so we started Wedge back in I believe the end of April 2020. And so we started Wedge as a lot of us were graduating college. And as we were graduating from a school here in Utah called Brigham Young University, we all graduated from their advertising program that is really well known. It's actually one of the kind of top 3 programs in the nation for advertising. And normally that means like when you finish school, you can go out and you can kind of pick your agency. There's agencies from New York, there's agencies from California, there's agencies from Chicago, wherever you want to go. They're out there looking for talent from this program. But unfortunately, we graduated during COVID. So I guess it was 21. Sorry, I got my years wrong. 21. We graduated
the 2020 to 2021.
It's all just the last 3 years have all blended into one cluster. But as we were graduating and it was during COVID, a lot of these agencies and a lot of these opportunities weren't quite there like they'd been in previous years. And so it was kind of interesting because normally the senior project for this program is they'll bring in these massive companies. They'll bring in Coke, they'll bring in Nike or Adidas or someone really, really awesome and have you work with that company for a semester. Because of COVID, none of these companies were really interested or were looking for that. So they just told us, hey, go out and create whatever you want to. Like, just go out, create a final project, whatever you want that final project to be. And so me and a couple of my friends there at BYU, we got together and we decided that it would be fun to do a documentary about a golf course that's here in Utah. And so we found this course. It's called Palisade Golf Course, which if you guys ever make it out here, it's this state-run course. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it is gorgeous. Awesome course. Really, really fun to play. And it's one that's got really
pulling up the Google.
Yeah, he's pulling it up so we can
have the Google. I'm telling you, they've got this signature hole where you hit over a ravine and you can see the whole valley. It's really pretty. And so it's got really close ties with me and my family, and that's kind of why we wanted to go out there and to play. But we went out there, did this documentary. Did you find it?
Oh yeah. Man, did I find it?
Quite the backdrop.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And so we filmed this documentary there about this girl who had this awesome story where she grew up there playing this course and ended up actually, she couldn't afford to play. So she'd take out the trash for the course and she'd do all this stuff and they'd let her go play. And she ended up making it to go play collegiate golf. And then after collegiate golf, actually got some time playing on the tour. And so it was like this really cool story that we found, and we did that. And then after,
sorry, we forgot. I have a little dog here who's my mascot.
No worries.
No
worries at all.
Mascot, not my mascot.
Yeah, my mascot, not Dom's.
Yeah, no worries at all. But yeah, as we finished that documentary, got done with that, we decided to, as we went out and got jobs, during COVID, none of us really got jobs that were anything that we were super passionate about. They weren't anything that we loved, they were good work, good things, and, things that helped us take care of our family, but we just we weren't passionate about what we were doing. And we kind of all got together one day and just said, hey, if we were doing something that was passionate or something that we loved, what would that look like? And we all kind of went back to that documentary that we shot, and we were like, that was it. That was what was making us happy and fun. We love golf, we love creativity, we love photography, videography. That's what we wish we could be doing. And so we all said, well, then why don't we? Why don't we make it happen? And so we kind of, 2 weeks later, we formed an LLC. We'd thrown it together and went out starting to take on clients and trying to figure out whoever would listen to us and whoever would be willing to let us work for them. And we, in the beginning of Wedge, kind of what we were doing is I'd go on Instagram and I'd find any company I could find that was selling golf things and was a golf brand. And I'd say, hey, if you send me your product, we'll make you a free video. And we were just offering free work to anybody that would listen to try and build a portfolio. And
yeah, absolutely.
We just kind of went and people started sending us their stuff, and slowly but surely, those companies, we used those portfolio pieces to land some pretty, quick fire, smaller clients, and slowly we're able to build those up to some larger brands. And we've been really, really lucky to work with some awesome groups. Some of the bigger names we've worked with up to this point are groups like Bad Birdie, Mizuno, some larger resort kind of stuff like the Wilderness Club up in Montana. Just a lot of these kind of fun experiences and a lot of these fun courses. Some experiences we never thought we'd be having. We got to send our video team to the PGA Championship this last year. Spent 3 days filming out at PGA West in San Diego, or no, sorry, wherever it's at.
I know you're talking about
Palm Springs. There we go, Palm Springs.
But
as we,
I have no idea.
But anyway, and so we've been really lucky with this. We've been really enjoying what we've been able to, the little creation we've been doing. And we always joke that we consider ourselves a fake company, but we're going to keep faking it until we make it. So
love it.
That's kind of where we're at. I should mention I'm not obviously all of Wedge. I wish more of the wedgies, as we like to call ourselves, could have made it tonight. But those guys, one of them's out actually in Indiana working on a shoot, and a couple of others are off doing a few different events tonight. So you get me.
That's okay. We're having some crazy weather over here, so right now the less is probably better.
So it's headquartered out of Utah. Do you guys all you guys, you're kind of out there traveling and all that. Did they kind of go their separate ways, or were they all still stationed kind of in Utah when you guys formed Wedge?
No, we're all still here local. We're all here in Utah at the moment. Working out of originally the first spot was my student housing in Provo. A little tiny, probably 200 square foot apartment that we're living out of. That's where we had the first meeting, and we're sitting there trying to pitch, what are we going to call this? What are we going to do? What's this all going to look like? And that was kind of where we started, and slowly we've all kind of moved, but we've stayed pretty local to each other as we've tried to build this out. And that camaraderie has been helpful for it.
What's your favorite part of the whole process? Because like Dom and I, we're both into photography, and I think that's why we really enjoy your guys' brand itself, and the whole creative side is that golf and photography are two awesome things.
Right.
And so as far as like your creative side, like what's your like niche in, like, as far as your other team, how many guys do you have like running like one tournament or one campaign or whatever it might be?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you talking about doing stuff for free for your portfolio really hits home. I've been shooting cars. Like, I just want to start shooting more and more cars. I just shot a 2012 99S or 997 Turbo S Porsche, and I'm like, well, this is gonna lead to this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing yet, but
he's
cool.
Yeah, building up the portfolio.
That's perfect. I really struck like a chord.
No, for sure. And that's really what we've been enjoying about this is it's the opportunity to create something that, I mean, at the end of the day, we're creating something that is whatever we want it to be, whatever we decide to make it. And we've been able to kind of say, hey, we want to go after these clients. Hey, these are the type of things that we enjoy creating. And that's been what's exciting about this. When I've worked at other agencies in the past or other experiences, you're kind of just at the mercy of whatever task falls on your plate that day. But like, for example, I got a text from one of my clients just barely that was like, hey, indoor simulator tomorrow, 1:30, you're coming. And it's like, cool. not very many like jobs do my clients tell me I have to golf. Like that's awesome. I love that. That's a good time. And so it's kind of a cool experience to be able to learn a lot about this. But I think to answer your question there about what my favorite part of this whole experience has been, it has been the opportunity to grow and to create a community, and kind of learn and learn more about the golf space and the people in this space, and kind of the relationships we've made. Um, one of the driving factors, and one of the things that kind of pushed me when I was starting this, was I was actually reading Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And in that book, he kind of mentions, he was working a different job. He was, I think, going into accounting, if I remember right. But then one day found himself as a track meet and as a collegiate runner when he was at that track meet, and he felt like that vibe and that experience and kind of that atmosphere. He was like, this is home for me. This is what I understand to be comfortable. This is where I belong. I need to build my life and my career around whatever lets me be where I feel I belong. And, growing up for me, it was not track. I'm slow as dirt, but I was, my parents would drop me off at the golf course as a way of babysitting me. Like it was just, that was where I spent my entire childhood, was, putting on the putting greens all day and hitting the driving range and walking around the course. And so because of that, like being able to come back to that even in a professional setting, but coming back to that environment where I'm around people where, conversations about, driver loft are what make me comfortable, make me excited, and those kind of things, where I'm able to talk about those stuff, but then also to marry it with a passion of mine, which is that video and that storytelling and that stuff like that we're able to talk about that, has been really awesome. It's been an incredible experience for us, and it's something that we really enjoy, and we like to be able to do. I believe you had one other question there that I want to touch on, which is kind of who's on the team, who do we have, and what do they all do? So to answer that question, we've got myself. I'm kind of the catch-all, do-all, just whenever, anything that nobody else wants to do, I falls on my plate. And then we have Reese, who is our video. He kind of handles all our video work, and has up to this point. He's really, really good. Put a camera on that guy's hand. He will capture whatever needs to be captured. And he's been really instrumental in landing a lot of the clients that we've landed. Then we have Tanner Giles, he's on the tournament side, and we can kind of dive into what that looks like in Wedge and what we've done there. But he helps run our tournaments, and a lot of our client relationships. And then we have Caden Giles, who's actually Tanner's brother. We got a brother duo here, and he's on our strategy and client management side. And so they kind of helped, when the clients come on, helping decide how we run the Facebook campaigns, how we strategize everything, and how we build it to work best for our clients. So, and then I do the photography as well. So we've kind of got photo, video, strategy, and then client and community stuff. So we all kind of pick our little roles there, but we're a small enough operation that everybody does a little bit of everything. You better be ready to pick up a camera at any time, and you better be ready to meet with a client at any time, because it's probably going to happen.
We were just talking about how we had Sonny with Tomo on the podcast probably about a month ago.
A couple months ago.
Yeah, and we'd seen some of the work you guys did for Sonny. He was an awesome guest, by the way.
We love Sonny. Sonny's a great guy. Those shoes. I can just show you this. This is the pile of Tomo.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
we have for all the productions that we do, and actually, there's even additional in the closet.
Kind of see some of the boxes. So getting a full tour here. It's like cribs,
man. Cribs on the
cribs on YouTube.
Cribs on YouTube. But yeah, so we love Sonny though. And that's the thing, is like Sonny is one of those relationships that I can talk about where it's like meeting him, getting to know him, someone who's local here to Utah that I never would have met without, the relationship with this company, but to learn how he's built Tomo and kind of learn more about his creative decisions he's made behind it, and how he's kind of, bootstrapped this stuff to be as cool of a brand it is, and as cool of a product as it is. He's done that awesome relationship with Random Golf Club and a lot of other stuff that he's done to build some really cool stuff. So, but yeah, that's kind of an example there of some of the cool relationships that come out of the business.
So you'd mentioned like Bad Birdies obviously is probably, that company's grown so much with their apparel, their polos, their hats. Are most of these companies that you're working with local? I know you talked about like they're out doing some tournaments and such, but for the most, Utah's a pretty popular state for golf.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted
Which
to also
which is
hint on
funny
that.
because you look at like Texas. Texas is a really big golf state, but they get year-round golf, so like that makes sense. California's
Yes.
got a good golf scene, year-round golf, that makes sense. Utah, we don't have year-round golf.
Which is
Um,
similar to us. Same thing.
we and
We have
like
for
right
six
now,
months.
you're not seeing a golf course for at least 2 months, 2 or 3 months from here. But what's interesting
We're
is,
not seeing one until like May.
yeah, you
Yeah,
guys,
it's
you guys
yeah,
basically live in Antarctica, so that's
yeah,
all.
it's
That's all
pretty
golf
close.
game. But it's interesting because even with that being said, like there is a community of golf here that's really tight and really like well versed and well antiquated with each other, and everybody kind of knows one another. And so we do work and we do actually try and prioritize, some local groups if we can find them, and trying to help like those local companies and things on that front. But for example, like Bad Birdie, they're based in Scottsdale. They're in Arizona, so they're close, but they're not quite. I wouldn't quite call them a local company.
That's what I was
Um,
asking. So I thought they were out of Arizona, but I couldn't
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, no, and even the story of how we met those guys is one of the cooler stories. So I always tell people that when people will come to me and be like, "Hey man, how have you built this? What's this been?" And the only answer, and there's no other answer available, it's luck. I mean, we've been working as hard as we possibly can to, have all the skills and everything ready to accept that luck, but it's been luck. And the luck has come. So how we got in contact with those guys was Caden and Tanner, the brother duo, were out at the waste management tournament in Phoenix. And while they were there, happened to run into a guy who liked the Wedge t-shirt he was wearing. And as they got talking, this random guy they bumped into happens to be one of the higher ups at Bad Birdie.
Wow.
Kind of learned who we were, what we did. And then a couple weeks later, some things happened internally where they ended up needing additional marketing help. And so like the timing of that, the opportunity of that with all those people they could have run into, like it's just so incredible to like have those random happen chance things happen that then we're able to turn into some really cool relationships that have built beyond, just a product or buying their product, but also getting to kind of create some cool content and go from there.
I love the fact too that like they're an apparel company, but he also like is like that's a sick shirt, and he even
Oh
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like
No,
coming with
those
your own
guys,
brand.
they
That's pretty cool.
recognize good work, and they,
Yeah,
game recognizes game, kind of a situation where
absolutely.
they'll see stuff where they're like, hey, I like that, and they're definitely willing to to partner. They do a lot of really cool partnerships, a lot of cool stuff like that. So that's one of those things we love about them.
Kind of dominated the conversation. So if you want to, do you have anything to think of that
No,
you
I'm
want
just kind of taking it all
to?
in.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to
Like,
try to like. Sometimes I talk my head off
like
and
there's
I
so
interrupt.
much for me to sit down and take it and go, okay, yeah, I get it. Because you're kind of doing stuff that we would like to do in the future. So it's cool to kind of sit here and go, man, that could be us. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes it is just luck, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Like we've
Exactly.
definitely had that happen too, where we've just kind of run our way and bam, we meet somebody that's just
Sure.
like perfect. Odin is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like
I think
never in a million years that I think we would be on a golf ball.
yeah,
And now we're on
yeah,
a golf
having a
ball.
exactly like being able to like do like promotions for companies for like golf balls, and then let alone being able to like put your own logo on that and have it like it's pretty awesome. I think the luck and like the whole like timing is everything as well. Like just like you said, like you got lucky that you found this person, but you guys were also good enough to deliver on what you guys offer, which you know what I mean. So it speaks
Mhm.
volumes. Um, so I completely agree. Speaking of Utah, I did want to mention that one of the more popular golfers out there right now is Tony Finau. And I know he's a big Utah guy. He came out of,
Yep.
I think he was from Utah. And I'd seen that you guys did some work, I believe was it Top Golf like for his foundation?
Yeah, so Tony runs this really awesome event every year where he it's called the Tony at Top Golf event, where basically he invites a bunch of people out, and companies and people they'll reserve bays to come play golf with Tony, and he comes around and he talks, and all that money goes to their foundation that does some really, really cool projects. I believe at the moment they're building out this reading center in Salt Lake City. That's really cool opportunity. And so yeah, it's kind of this foundation, the Tony Finau Foundation. They do a lot of work there, and we were lucky enough to get an invite to go and to get a chance to meet Tony and talk with him and do some photography while we were there, and kind of get a little inside look on how he's building all that. But yeah, Tony Finau, if you guys ever get the chance to meet him, is the perfect example of somebody using their platform in a really, really good way. I mean, the guy, I think there was like jokes that he was winning like nicest guy on tour, and it is true through and through. I mean, in the way that he manages himself and the way he manages his opportunities and his foundation, all that stuff. You know, we got a chance to meet his family while we were there and kind of get to talk with them. And I mean, it's just like salt of the earth, best people, just awesome opportunity. And so, but yeah, Tony, I mean, when you come talk about Utah golfers, he's like, that is Utah's hometown hero is Tony Finau.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad come from that guy's mouth, or have ever heard anyone say anything bad about him. I know there was a stretch of time where he was so good that he would finish like runner up like several tournaments. He was so close to, finishing, he just couldn't finish, and then he got on a string and started winning some events. And
Yeah.
he's one of those players that he's good enough to be a dominant player for like quite some time. He's a tall guy too, and he's
very tall.
He's just gonna say he's a taller guy, but I think what most people like about him is he's that humble person that you kind of want to root for. So I thought that was really cool. I did want to mention that.
Yeah, no, I think you'll hear Tony Finau's name on tour for quite a long time.
For sure. I agree with you. Kind of transitioning over, I really want to talk about this because it seems very exciting, and we'd like to be a part of it somehow or some way, or maybe even go out there and play. But it's one day, 72 teams, 36 holes, correct? And this is the long day challenge. Can you talk about this tournament?
Yeah, and this is why I wish we had Caden and Tanner here, because the long day challenge, it's really their baby, and they've built this thing into something really, really exciting. So to kind of take a step back, so with Wedge, our biggest thing that we do, obviously, it is the golf marketing and the content creation and all the advertising and different stuff that we do. That's kind of our bread and butter. But beyond that, we do have kind of the two separate tracks where we also do create some apparel, and then we also do some work with tournaments, and we run some tournaments here. And right now we have kind of our flagship tournament, which is the Long Day Challenge. And like you mentioned there, it's actually, per the amount of players that we have, the largest public tournament in Utah, where we have 288 golfers come out. And last year we used a course called Soldier Hollow that's got two 18-hole championship style golf courses on one property. And basically we put 8 people to a hole, 2 4-man scrambles, and they play 36 holes. So you play 2 full 18s. And then at the end of that, the top 10 teams actually go back out and play a derby to decide the winner.
Oh, okay. So I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the winning team, in theory, will play 45 holes by the time the day's done.
Are you ready to carry the team?
I'm
There's
doing my
no way. There's no way I'm
I've been getting the chiropractor hard lately. It's getting these shoulders ready.
so
Yeah, man. But it's a super fun event. And so kind of why I was saying that I hope Caden and Tanner would be here. So the story behind the Long Day is years ago, the Long Day Challenge was actually something that it existed before we ran it. It was run by the Chamber of Commerce as an opportunity to try and attract tourism to Park City, which, is a huge ski snow destination, but in the warmer months, not quite as big a destination. So they want to try and get people to come and to visit in the warmer seasons. So they invented, so one of the guys who ran the Chamber of Commerce at the time started this thing called the Long Day Challenge. And that guy just happens to be Caden and Tanner's dad.
Oh, convenient.
Okay. Very cool.
And years later, after things had changed, like the tournament was no longer being run and it had kind of gone away. And so as we started this company, he actually approached them and said, hey guys, like, I want this tournament to be my legacy. Like, I want this to be something I can pass to you guys, and it can be just something that exists beyond me and beyond, it can kind of represent our family and things. And so when we started this, I remember again, sitting in that tiny little apartment on campus when Tanner and Caden came and they're like, hey, by the way, we have access to this tournament if you guys want it. And I was like, you idiot, you're bringing that up now? We've been doing this for like 6 months. That should have been day one. The first thing you said when you met me should have been, hey, have you heard about the long day challenge? And so we started it up, and I'll tell you what, that was way bigger of an undertaking than any of us had any idea we were getting ourselves involved into. I mean, first off, just getting the word out, getting people signed up, getting people to know what we were doing, getting people to trust it. And, now that it wasn't run by 25, 26-year-old kids just trying to figure it out as they go. But we got really lucky. We ended up selling it out and getting enough people involved to sell out the tournament. And I mean, we had an awesome day. I think the moment for me where it kind of all came together was we were during that derby where, 250, 280 golfers had just finished playing 36 holes and they were all dead. And then we said, all right, here's the top 10 teams. Those top 10 teams are going back out to play. And then seeing teams that didn't qualify walk out with us, and they're like, no, we're here to watch. Like, we want to see who wins. We want to see what happens. And it felt like, like the PGA events I've been to, where you have this massive gallery where it's just this big group of people following. Because in the derby style, all 10 teams play the hole together. Okay. So there's 40 people playing the hole, and then there's 60 people watching them play. And we just have this massive group, and we had Reese throw the drone up, and he's flying it around watching us all as we just kind of go play. And one of the guys from one of the teams actually walked over to me at that point, and not to toot our own horn, but what he said was, he kind of goes, hey, he just looked at me and goes, I've never had this much fun playing golf. Like, this is awesome. And that for me was a moment where I was just like, dude, I'm glad you're saying that, because I've never been more stressed. I've never been more tired. I'm losing my mind, but I'm glad that this is coming together. And so for next year, we're just seeing this as like, this is something we're going to do every single year. And we've already opened up reservations for 2023. And it was kind of fun to see people, even before we opened up reservations, kind of messaging us on Instagram or emailing us on the website saying like, hey, when can I sign up? I got my team ready. We've been practicing. We want to win this year. And then at the same time, actually, it's kind of funny that we're filming this today. The winning team from last year, the kind of grand prize is a week-long stay at Quintero, and they're sending us videos because they just got there today to kind of enjoy their week out there to go play at this awesome course. And so they're out there and sending us videos and showing us, them playing and having a good time. So we're excited. We're excited to see what all the stuff looks like and where we can take this. The hope is that in a future years, we'll have the Utah Long Day Challenge, but we might also branch out to some other states and open it up and get some more people involved. So who knows? Maybe we'll come even to the frozen tundra that you guys live in.
There we go. That'd be awesome.
It's not frozen all the time. It's just like
half year,
like October to like May.
Pretty close.
Yeah, we'll find that 1 week of warmth and we'll slide right in.
Exactly.
There's a good week in June.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we I can't, when you're talking about this, like we could relate.
We know we did a tournament. We did our first tournament.
Yes, and it was a lot smaller than that. It was nowhere near that size, but it was still pretty hectic and crazy. And I could only imagine. But we picked June. I was like, June 11th, it'll be warm enough. And that day, like, granted, the weather worked out perfectly, but that whole day was supposed to be.
It rained the morning of.
Yeah, it was raining, and it was like 60 degrees, and normally it's about 85, 90 degrees. So
I think since we're talking about it, the most stressful moment for me, I don't know if you were there, but the TJ came up to me and goes, hey, there should be a team crossing right now. And I was like, there isn't.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, where are they? And I was like, I don't know.
Got lost a little bit.
Like, I'm drinking, I'm doing shots, whatever. And he goes, we got to go find them. So we hop in the golf cart, and there's this group of women just sitting on the green. And we're like, hey,
it's not the right.
What are you doing? And they're like, we're taking our time. And we're like, no. Because at this point, it's like 10, 15 minutes when the group in front of them passed. And we're like, oh my God, they're lost. And of course, they weren't updating their scorecards. We had no idea what hole they were on or anything.
We did use the live scoring, which worked really well, except there was a couple of groups. But I mean, that was really the only big hiccup. Other than that, it ran really smoothly, but it's like that anticipation and that buildup, like the weather, and then from there it's just, is everything going to run smoothly? We did a pretty cool thing. We collaborated with a company called 3Jack, and we did a
Shuttle bus.
shuttle bus. And so like the stress of like, okay, is that shuttle bus going to show up on time? Like things like that, little things you don't think of, you know? So I could only imagine, because that's like magnified way more than ours. But with that being said, how long does this tournament take?
The entire day. So we got there the night, but in order to make this work, the teams check in the night before.
Okay.
So we have our check-in the night before so that we can. Sorry, my
Oh, no
doorbell's
worries.
it needs to go off. We have the teams check in the night before, and then when they come the next morning, and it's like 4:35 ish when everybody shows up, and we say like you have to be in your carts at 4:30, ready to go. And then they're all sitting there just kind of like waiting until the pros like
It's my kind of tournament.
it is safe to play. It is bright enough. You're good to go. And we just send people out. If you go on our website, we have a little video we put together, and you'll see a shot where it's like it looks like dawn because it was. And there's everybody, just all these like, again, 144 carts whipping out of the parking lot at 5:30, 5 in the morning, ready to go. And so we ended up having all this happen from about 5:30 until sorry, somebody's looking for
you gotta take it, no problem.
Actually, can you just give me 2 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. My apologies.
No, we can Dom's like, oh, we can cut that out. I was totally thinking like, oh yeah, good.
Yeah, the beauty of Adobe.
So we'll just kind of
editing,
transition.
man.
We'll transition back in right now.
No,
Cool.
we'll do it before.
Yeah. So it's a 4-person scramble. Is it handicapped at all or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're very tight on the handicaps actually. So the handicapping, everybody has to have a GIN registered handicap in order to play. And we actually have all these rules about who is allowed. Like, you can't sandbag, you can't have a team that's all high, you can't have a team that's all low. So we have this kind of rule structure that we've set up where you basically have to have there's like a max gap between your lowest and your highest handicap.
Okay.
And then between that gap, it all can't add up past a certain number.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. No, I definitely we're gonna have to try to puzzle that together and see if we can get a team in.
We would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have we have a couple other questions. I was gonna ask.
Cool. So while we're
yeah.
talking about it,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
guess, and I mean, in a way, we're just gonna plug it. When is it?
June 24th, 2023. If you go to thelongdaychallenge.com, it has all the rules and everything outlined, and you can register just directly from there. And then a little bit closer to the tournaments when we're going to start sending out all of the different, team information, bookings, pairings, all that kind of stuff. But
are there some
we would love to have as many people invited as possible, and love to kind of grow the groups that are getting involved and things like that. We got a lot of really fun sponsors getting involved this year. So, we have a long drive competition at that night before gala. We have putting competitions. It's really like, and again, I know I'm biased, but it's like when you were saying like this is my kind of tournament, like it's the golfers kind of tournament.
Sure.
We don't allow sponsors on the holes. We don't allow, you can't buy strokes. You can't buy, bubble gum, licorice rope, none of it.
None of that.
Like
Okay.
It is score by score. Your handicap's got to be legit. Like we're looking for legitimate play here and making it like a legitimately fun competitive tournament, because we've all played in those charity events where somebody posts a 46.
46.
I don't. So speaking of that, I posted that video or that video of that team shooting was it a 46?
46.
And
yeah, that's why I said 46.
So not to plug group chat golf means, but they did some due diligence and reached out to that team, and they had them on the podcast.
I didn't.
And apparently, no, I didn't either, but I just seen that they had posted it. But apparently, like it was a legit 46 because of that. Like one of the holes in ones there was some sort of thing behind it. But yeah, you can sometimes get like 6 feet of string.
Oh, you can get tons of string, and then it's like they'll have a sponsor on the hole that's like if you outdrive me, you get 5 strokes. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, you think you actually played really well, and then you get to the clubhouse, and you're tied for 10th
Yeah.
place, and you're like, no way, you know. But that is awesome. I was gonna ask, are there some like awesome like Airbnbs or like hotels around that area as far as staying?
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it. Like Park City and where we host this, it's technically Heber, but it's all the same area. It's gorgeous. I mean, this place is built for ski trips, it's built for vacations, it's built for getaways. Like there's tons of Airbnbs. Our team actually goes out, we go get a big Airbnb because we're there the night before until 1 a.m. and got to be back at 4. So
Sure.
we get an Airbnb out there. And so there's a lot of really good places to stay. We're actually talking with a few hotels this year as well to try and get some opportunities for people to come play and stuff. But
Awesome.
yeah, and there's accommodations for everybody, opportunities, and I mean it's a blast.
How much golf do you actually play? Like you work for a golf
Me
agency that
personally,
you created. Yeah. So like how much like on your free time of like non-paid?
the joke I always make is that I've never been on a course more and played less.
I like
Um, and it's less because of the business and it's less because of Wedge specifically, but it's more just the nature of the beast of kind of the entrepreneurial life is that a lot of my time is taken up here and taken up in work. And because I'm out on the course so often, it's kind of hard for me to, spend a whole day on the course and then come home and look my wife in the eye and say, hey, I'm going to go back out and go play. So because of that, I don't play as much as I think I would like to. I still like probably play more than the average person does. Get to play quite a bit. And like we said, like right now, one of our awesome clients is X Golf here in Utah. And with them, like they got an indoor simulator place, so we get to play a lot of that and get opportunities to play out and get out and play when we can, but it's not quite as lucrative as I think I expected when we first jumped into this in terms of being able to play golf.
What's one piece of advice that you could share with our listeners? If they were like starting a business or wanting to, maybe they're becoming an entrepreneur, what's one piece of advice you think you could share that would be helpful?
So I actually I get this question, or I talk about this a lot because people, it's something that I think far too many people are just afraid to do. There's just a fear of it, but there's also, maybe it's not fear, but it's just intimidating. I mean, it really is. It's an intimidating venture to be able to do. And I got lucky because early on in my career, I actually worked with with one of my friends from high school and his business partner. I got to work. They started a business and I was kind of the first hire to be able to come and help them on this, and got to watch them build this business up to be very successful. And then when COVID happened, be able to kind of work and when things were hard to see how they handled all that and how they actually were able to sell the business in the middle of COVID and turn out really well for themselves. And I kind of got to watch that happen. And for me, it was kind of like a shock to the system because it's like, this is a kid I went to high school with. Like I've seen this kid do the funnest and dumbest stuff. And now I'm watching him run a business and seeing how you can make your passions into a career. And so one of the recommendations I always make, there's a book titled The $100 Startup, which is a really awesome book. And it kind of what it aims to do is to give like some simple directions and a simple template that people can use to like find passions of theirs and find ways to make a business out of them and kind of tear down the idea that starting a business doesn't necessarily mean starting Nike, starting Tesla, starting Google or Netflix. It can mean starting a company that does enough to make you $80,000 to $120,000 a year, like a really good livelihood, or something that's happy, like you're able to be happy with it. Maybe you don't install on a day, but you can slowly build a business and create a lifestyle that is more freeing and more opportunistic than just the roadmap of high school, college, 9 to 5 retirement. And that's what I think is exciting for me about entrepreneurship is the creative freedom and the just general freedom that it gives you. And is that you have the opportunity to go out and to take your life really by the horns and do what you want with it and make it whatever you want it to be, and that's what I've enjoyed with it personally. We get to, my wife and I get to travel more than we did, because I'm not worrying about PTO as often because I can work when I need to work and do what I need to do. And I can edit at 2 a.m. from New York, or I can edit at 1 a.m. from Finland, like we did last year. And so there's a lot of cool opportunities in it. You just have to do it. You just have to be able to kind of go through and be willing to know that it can fail, and being willing to know that it can not fail and it can succeed. And it just comes down to putting in the time and building it up.
Well said. I like that. It's like you just gotta like take that step, right?
Got to do it. Got to take
Yeah.
that step. And I think the other thing that people always think is like, if you start a business, you have to either A, have a bunch of funds to start to get into it, or B, you have to be able to quit your job and go full time. And that wasn't the case. I ran Wedge with a full-time job for a good year before we were really able to sustain me and my partners going full time. So bootstrap it, figure it out, and I mean, go for it. It's awesome.
I love it. That's great advice. I appreciate that. And I hope people are listening do that, because you even talked about in the beginning, uh just as far as like not working your typical 9 to 5, like this isn't what I enjoy. Like I got a good job, but I don't want to wake up and do this every day because I don't enjoy it. So it's like, what am I going to do that I'm going to enjoy every day? And I love that. And I think not a lot of people do that, or not as many people as they, should. They complain about work on a daily basis. And so I appreciate that advice. I do have a couple other questions. Actually, I just want to fire off some rapid fire questions, and then we'll talk a little food, talk a little Timberwolves, and then we can wrap things up.
We don't have to talk about the Timberwolves.
Well, we have to just talk. I'm happy that
I'm not.
someone from Utah. They were talking to someone from Utah. I was at the Jazz, or not the Jazz game, the game the other night. I'm 4-0 at Target Center with the Wolves, so I think I need to invest in some Timberwolves tickets. But so any case, we're gonna do some rapid fire questions.
Mhm.
The first one, pretty simple. What's your favorite golf course?
That I've played or that I've been to, because those are two separate answers.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, that you've played.
That I've played. So this is actually an interesting answer. My favorite course that I've ever played is PGA West. I absolutely love that course. We got to go out there with Bad Birdie, one of our clients. They were awesome to us. Really, really great course. That's my favorite course for that's a professional course. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. Now that's like my golfer answer. If you ask me personally, Hobble Creek Golf Course in Springville, Utah. It is a city-run course, tiny clubhouse. It's not prestigious. It's not whatever, but that course is fun. It's crazy. And I grew up 5 minutes down the road. And for me, like the nostalgia of it and everything, that's my personal answer. I love that course like nothing. And so that's that for me. That kind of goes back to that's home. That's what home is for me.
Was it called Hobble Creek?
Hobble Creek. Yeah, it's up Springville Canyon. If you guys ever make it out here, highly recommend making a way to go play Hobble Creek. It's really fun.
Very cool. We always say rapid fire questions, but they never turn into it because.
Oh no, I'm too long winded. I'll go quicker though. I'll go quicker.
Yeah, we just call them that. This one might be a little interesting. This is the first question I think I've thrown this out to a guest. Favorite camera to use?
Ooh. This is my favorite professional camera. It's a Sony A7 IV. So like I said, I'm the photographer, and so this is what I use for photo. Absolutely love this camera. For video work, I'll just tell you, so in case you have camera nerds on here, for video, we use the Sony FX3, which is basically this camera, but built for video. Both with normally 24-70s. I'll also have a 50mm on mine. And then, like I said, I'm too long-winded. But
this is great.
The other camera that I've recently picked up that I'm in love with is the Fujifilm X100V.
Yep.
Sweet.
This thing is incredible. This thing is great as a personal cam. I don't use this one for client work. We have used it a couple of times, but it's basically considered a digital film camera. So everything comes out with a cool.
Yeah, you can set the film. You could shoot Fuji 100 or Kodak 200 out, quote unquote.
So for the viewers, we can show right there. I've got Kodak Ultra Max 400.
Yeah.
So the photos come out looking like they were shot on a Kodak.
Or you could just shoot Kodak.
Very cool. Are they pretty? Is that a pretty expensive camera?
Yes.
It's
not too bad.
A little bit. It's not.
It's not. I don't mean to interrupt. It's not awful. That's one of the cameras right now that is completely taking over the kind of the photography industry and the camera industry, because Fuji hasn't really released a big camera up until that one. So
is it fairly new?
Relatively.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
it's hard to get your hands on. Our local camera store here, I mean, they're selling out everywhere. They're really hard to find. They're reselling on eBay for about $1,000 more than they retail.
Yep.
But I called our local camera store every single morning for like a month until they were like, screw it. Here, just come take one. Like, get off of our back.
Yeah, quit calling.
Quit calling.
I'm glad I asked that question. That's okay, good, because I haven't asked that question before.
Yeah, that's one that I've been eyeballing, but I just can't justify. Like, I don't need another
I
digital.
think I spent 1,400.
Okay.
But still cheaper than this bad boy. So
So those are
We've got a wall full of cameras, so trust me, I'm aware.
You're worst. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All of mine are film though. I have 3 digital, but I have like 15 film cameras, so I get it. I shoot an RP. Not that anybody asked, but I shoot.
Hey, let it out, man.
I'm interested. Interested.
And then my other camera that I just throw around, I bought a used A6300, and I put a small rig cage on it so I can throw it around and not really feel bad about it.
Yep. It's good camera.
On there too.
Yeah. No, I love Canon. I think Canon is probably like the best system, in terms of color grading and stuff like that. That's where Sony isn't really at right now in terms of color grading.
I love Sony. We have our Sony.
Things.
Yeah, we're like, it's just what you like.
I grew up with Canon.
Yeah.
Like my first camera was a Canon. I had a Rebel T5. So like all
I'm gonna say is Netflix has approved the FX3 for its shows and not any of the Canons. But take it for what it's worth. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to like throw a line out there and see if I can catch him.
Yeah, I'm more of a photographer versus videographer though.
Yep.
Very cool.
Cool. What else we got?
What's the best snack on the golf course?
Hot dog at the turn.
Hot dog at the turn. Okay.
Hot dog at the turn.
Hot dog at the turn. All right. And then do you prefer early morning golf or twilight golf?
Twilight.
Oh, attaboy.
I didn't write this one down, but
hate early mornings.
Who is the best golfer between your whole team?
Ooh. I don't think I can answer that question. First off, it's not me. It's not me.
You could say you because you showed up.
I could say that, but then I would also probably be burned at the stake. There's no way that they would let me get away with that. I would say it jumps back and forth between Caden or Tanner, the Giles boys. They're usually our best golfers. It really comes down to who's played the most golf recently. I'll sneak around in there every once in a while, but consistency wise, those guys got us beat. So
did any of you guys play like high school or collegiate golf? I know you talked
everybody but Reese played high school golf.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so I wanted to ask, I don't know if you can even talk about this, but do you have any upcoming projects that you're excited about or that you can talk about?
We do have some upcoming projects that we are incredibly excited about. I can't talk about too many of them because they're still kind of getting formulated. The one that I can say is there is a mini documentary that we shot with Mizuno a few months ago that is going to be released here in the next couple weeks that we are incredibly proud of and really excited about. So that mini doc, I don't know if we have an exact date for its release, but it should be coming out pretty soon. And that one's it's one that we took a little more time on. We're able to spend some more time on the storytelling pieces, and we're really, really passionate about storytelling. So that's something that we're excited about and we're hoping to do more of next year, whether personally or with brands like Mizuno. So that's one that we're really excited about. And then beyond that, we have the Long Day Challenge, which obviously is not a video project, but that's a bigger project that we're excited about. Yep. These hats and the new clothing that we're coming out with. That's the other big thing that we're excited for. In January, we will be pushing these hats live, and then long sleeve basic tees that have our logo on them. Those will be coming out as well. So it's a couple of fun things there, and then a few video things that
Sure.
we'll tease. We'll let the viewers find that one on their own.
Awesome. So you got a lot in the hopper cooking right now, which is fantastic. As far as like you're talking about like the Mizuno video, have you guys done any like commercials or like ads? Because I know like with social media, it's more like reels and short clips. But
Mhm.
do you do a lot of like other videos like that with commercials
We've done a
associated?
lot of social advertising. So far, Wedge does not have like a broadcast commercial under our belt quite yet. Actually, no, technically we do have a Hulu ad. We did a Hulu ad for that ran for a while. So if you
Ooh,
count Hulu as TV, then yeah, we've done some bigger
oh
commercials
yeah,
as well.
sure.
Um,
Hulu does have live
but
sports.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's big time.
yeah, so there's been a lot of fun stuff there. But most of where we cut our bread and butter at this point has been the social. Just because, to be honest, that's where a lot of the market is right now. That's where a lot of golfers are at, and that's where they're buying, and that's where they're interested. So we've been doing a lot of social work, a lot of stuff like that, and opportunities to create around Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We're diving into the world of TikTok and trying to figure out how that all goes, and having a lot of fun with it.
Whole nother animal, yeah. Okay, so we always bring up food. That's one of our
Okay,
topics.
any with it.
If we're looking to find the best buffalo wing or maybe the best burger in town, where would you suggest we go?
In Utah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
The
we
response.
got the right guy.
so there is a spot. I'm actually going here tomorrow night, and I'm like juiced about it. I'm so excited. There's a place here. So one thing you have to know about me is I am a very big Formula One fan.
Okay.
I caught that bug pretty heavily. With the Netflix series and everything that came out that everybody hopped on. And so there's a place I think there's two locations in Utah. It's called Garage Grill. And they've got great wings and bomb burgers. Super good food. And it's kind of cool because the booths are set up where they have like the booth, normal booth, and then they actually have above each booth is like car jacks and like a 60s Mustang just like sits above you while you eat, or a Formula One car sits above you while you eat, and all these cool different things. And yeah, Garage Grill, highly recommend if you want to stop by. Wednesdays are wing nights. I'll be there. So come hang out. It'll be great. They're also known for their sushi nachos. Try those out.
Okay.
Yeah, you lost me.
I love nachos, but I'm not a sushi fan.
Dude, I don't care if you are or aren't, you'll love them.
They're that good. Okay, I'll definitely
You
try
like
it. That is,
you
I'll
like
try it.
sriracha and you like jalapenos, you're
I
already
love.
in.
Okay, that's fair. So before we hop off, yeah, we want to talk a little basketball.
Hit me with
We're
it.
we're here in Minneapolis, Timberwolves fans. You're
Oof.
obviously in Utah, a Jazz fan. So the Rudy Gobert trade,
How does it feel to have the heart and soul of the Timberwolves on your team?
seriously, just kind of.
Because that's what it
So
was.
okay,
We
so
traded
first off, here's my question. And
we
and I've
traded our
actually
heart
been
and soul for a
legitimately
dude.
I've been legitimately trying to find a good Timberwolves fan to ask this question to. So I'm glad I got you guys here.
Oh boy.
A good captive audience.
Yeah.
Were you guys sitting there this offseason just saying, you know what is the one piece we need to win a championship? Rudy Gobert. Like, was that anybody's thought was that we are Rudy Gobert away?
No.
So
I thought they were trading for Donovan Mitchell.
no. See,
I like him on
I
the
think the whole
Cavs.
matchup between the Grizzlies, the playoff push, we did get out rebounded quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like they were like, we do need one more big. I'm not saying it was Rudy Gobert, but Cat is not a big down low. He's a big
Yeah.
dude, but he likes to shoot the three ball, and he's
Mm-hmm.
been known to be kind of not the best defensive basketball player. So I'm not saying
Right.
they were wanting Rudy Gobert, but
To be fair, nobody on the Timberwolves is a great defensive basketball player.
That's true. I mean,
that is
and
true.
that's something that I will say this, and to give credit to the Timberwolves, like Rudy Gobert is a very specialized player, and he's a player that the Jazz luckily got the most out of him because they learned through years of playing and having on the team how to get the most out of his play. If you look at this year, like his blocks are down, his defensive rating is down. Like he's not quite hitting exactly where he was. So as I think they learn how to use him and this team gels a little bit more, there should be opportunities for him to take advantage and for the team to use more of what he's good at. But But the problem is, and where my concern with this whole trade was not my concern for you guys, because for us it was
not for
really
you.
well, was even with that happening, I don't know where that puts you. Because the biggest concern I have with your guys' situation is what it's done to Anthony Edwards. Where he's saying things in interviews that's like, I don't know how to throw lobs, which is really the biggest way to utilize Rudy Gobert as a scorer.
Yeah, pick and
Or
roll.
when he's saying things like, I don't like to drive, his driving percentage. He doesn't drive nearly as much as he used to because the paint's a little bit clogged up with a taller body in there. And so that's my biggest concern is like Anthony Edwards is the future.
Yes, he
And
is. He's the team. He's the franchise player.
He just did an interview where they're like, "Hey, why don't you dunk it?" And he looked at everybody and he goes, "Hey, why don't they let me dunk it?" Or something like that, right?
Oh,
Where
really? I didn't see that.
he was like, "Yeah," because at one point he didn't have a dunk on the season.
Yeah.
Like they're like a month in, and they're like, "Why aren't you dunking?" And he goes, "Where do you expect me to dunk?" And I was like, "That's like the best thing ever."
I think
I could totally be wrong, but I feel like we have not had a competent big man since KG. And KG wasn't a big man.
haven't. You're right. Yeah, we really haven't. I mean, the game has changed quite a bit since KG.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. But I think the biggest thing is the defense was lacking on the Minnesota side, but not only that, it was the depth, and that's where it's like we traded away a lot of our depth for Rudy Gobert. So it's kind of like, do you want another big to help Cat, and then get rid of your younger guys? Vanderbilt is an awesome basketball player. I love that guy.
Vanderbilt, Kessler, give me Kessler all day long, dude.
Yes.
No, I'm really liking the role that they're playing on this team and what they're doing. And again, the Jazz aren't a championship contender right now, but I think we've got some good pieces for a rebuild. We're light years above where we probably should be for a rebuild. So that's exciting.
You're welcome.
So thank you guys for that. I apologize because I may have to run out of here if that's okay. But honestly, guys, really fun to get to chat with you. Let's do it
again and get the rest of the guys on.
Part 2, part 4, part 9. Let's get the Wedge boys on here and let's talk some more.
Sounds good. Appreciate your time, Dane.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Later.